Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're actually going to be going through how to add joints into your Fusion 360 project. So as you can see here, we've already created a key and a pin. We also created a little third component over here. And today we're going to be discussing how we can apply a revolute joint and even a slider joint to our projects so that we can get some good animations that we can then use to kind of improve our designs. As you can see over here, I'm actually using a revolute joint in my cycloidal gearbox project, and this is kind of giving me the ability to see what's happening, see what I need to work on, see what I need to improve, and it kind of really adds some professionalism to your project. So with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing to keep in mind when you are creating joints or assembling maybe a rigid group or an as-built joint, it is important to understand and remember that in order to make joints, you have to have components. So if you have a body, you will not be able to make joints from the body. If you try to make a body, it'll actually tell you, hey, you can't do this until you create a component for it. So I'll go over that real fast just to kind of show you what you need to do. But the basic idea is you create a sketch over here. We'll extrude this and make this into a body. From here, if we try to assemble a joint, you can see that it actually blanks it out. If you try to do it without these other components in this file, it will not let you do it. It will actually give you an error. So that's first things first. You cannot create a joint with a body, so keep in mind that everything needs to be a component. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go up to assemble here, and we are going to assemble a joint. When you assemble a joint, you have a position tab and a motion tab. The motion tab, you can actually just kind of go through and determine what motion you want. But if you see up here also with this little down arrow, you can also create or change your motion type. As you see over here, we have two different components associated with a joint, which means that our roller here will be component 1, or our pin will be component 1, or our key will be component 1, and vice versa. You'll have two components here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually notice what happens when we're on component 1. We have to select an object to snap to. You see up here at the top, we have kind of like an X, Y, and Z axis. You can see as we slide down, we have another and one at the bottom. But if you see here, when we go to the actual cylinder, the shell of the cylinder, it actually highlights it all. So we'll actually left click here, and it'll highlight this actual outer shell. So if we wanted to slide up and down with the slide motion, we can do so. And if we wanted to rotate around or revolve around, we can do the same thing. Next, we will go to component 2, and we will select the next snap. As you see here, this is cleared out. The pin's actually cleared out, and now we have a second component that we need to select the snap location. Notice how the actual body over here that we created is unhighlighted. If we try to click this, you see that it will actually move. It'll actually move to that body. And if we click OK here, notice if we double click our little flag here, you see nothing's really happening. We don't have a joint here. But we can actually snap joints to bodies that are not being moved. We will go back to joint. we will select our first one like we did, and then we'll select our second one, which, as you can see, we can select a face or an edge, or we can actually select the inside of our cylinder. You see it kind of highlights the cylinder circle. We'll select that, and now, as you can see, it's auto-generating a revolve motion. But if we go to a slide motion, you see we have some movement there. So if we wanted a slider motion, we have just successfully done that. So if we actually, slide up and down, we can do so here. But important thing is that when we try to revolve this, so if we go to revolve here and we try to revolve it, you see that nothing's really revolving. I mean, the cylinder itself may be revolving, but we want the key to actually revolve around the cylinder. So in order to do that, we actually have to change the location of our components. So we have the pin being component 1. What we will do is we'll actually make the key component 1, because the key is the one that we want to either slide or revolve around the pin. So we will actually click X and X. For our component 1, we will actually make that the inside of the key. It's almost impossible to see that now because we have a pin in the way. So something that I use often is the hide eye over here. We'll hide that pin for right now. We'll select the inside of the key. I can unhide the pin, go down to our second component, and highlight the outside. Now, if you go back and watch, you can the video, you can actually see that this actually went down some when we selected, and now it's properly revolving around the pin like we want it to. But our thing kind of went down. So keep in mind that we actually have some alignment tools here, both in angles and in offsets of X, Y, and Z. So if I want to bring this up, I can actually come here and bring it up the same way that, you might extrude a piece or whatever you're doing. So we'll actually go over here, and select 5. And now you can see inside of our revolve, when we spin it, we actually are revolving it around the pin. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're doing simulations, a lot of time you may want to get in the habit of grounding your component. So if I wanted to ground this pin to where it didn't move at all, I can right click and I can ground. I can find it right here at the top. You can see I can ground this pin, and now this pin's grounded, and you get this little tic tac or this tack over here, and it's still grounded. You can't see it. If I try to slide it up and down, it will. This cylinder basically is not going to move. You couldn't see it move before, but for more complex assemblies, keep in mind that often you may want to ground something. So there's that. That's how you actually create joints in Fusion 360. The next thing that I want to kind of touch up on and explain to you a little bit is our rigid groups. Basically what a rigid group is it takes 2 different components and it almost fuses them as one. So if you want components to act together as one for your joint and your motions, you want to ground the components that you want to work together. So I'll explain it this way. So as we move this joint here, you can see that it moves away from this floating cube. If I wanted this floating cube to move along with the key, what I can do is I can go to Assemble. I can assemble my rigid group, and then I'll select the 2 components that I want to join. Now from here, you see there's a rigid group down here in your joints tab. So from here we can actually go ahead and start revolving, and now you'll notice that they're moving together as one. We go back here for a minute. I'm going to unground this, so now this is ungrounded. If I wanted to add a rigid group to 2 pieces that are already that already have a joint, you see that there's constraints. So if I push yes, now you can see that there's a rigid group there, and I cannot, nothing will happen because they're actually working together. But what I can do is I can come back up to another joint, a little, I'm going to hide my little component here. I'll select that as a face, and I'll select this other face here. If I can get it. It'll be kind of tricky. I'll select this. And now you see I have kind of some weird stuff going on, so let me make sure I get the face and not the top of that cube. So now you can see that I can actually revolve this. Now when I move this, it'll all move together as one. So I hope this has been a helpful video for you moving forward on how you can create joints in Fusion 360. If you liked the video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, please go down to the comment section below and shoot me some questions, and hopefully maybe I can make a video for you all with an answer. Thank you all so much and have a great day.